Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Welcome to the Talking with the Experts Online Business Summit.
Hello and welcome to the May 2025 Talking with the Experts Online Business Summit, where innovative business owners and industry leaders come together to share insights and their strategies and some success stories. This online event is designed for entrepreneurs who are eager to learn, connect and grow their businesses. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this summit offers a wealth of knowledge from experts across various industries. Gain actionable strategies, discover the latest business trends, and learn how to overcome challenges in today's dynamic marketplace. My next guest is Fur Wale, and she's going to be sharing with us the game-changing approach to public speaking and how authenticity empowers you to connect, captivate, and confidently own the stage. Fur is a prominent advocate for personal growth and a two-time best-selling author celebrated for delivering over 600 keynotes and facilitating more than 100 workshops. Fur's message emphasises the crucial role of women as transformative role models and the lasting impact they have on future generations. Drawing from extensive studies in Taoism, Zen meditation, and martial arts, Fur's leadership style is grounded in mindfulness and authenticity. Fur is the founder of the She Talks platform, which delivers empowering workshops for women and youth. This platform is proudly endorsed by notable figures, including the Hall of Fame #1 speaker Tim Gard and the anti-bullying teams from Facebook and X through Project Rocket. Fur's diverse background includes significant roles as a TV presenter, radio host, community theatre actor, editorial model, and even as a face painter for Cadbury and Streets Ice Cream. Since 2005, Fur has received recognition and awards for her contributions as a keynote speaker and small business leader. By leveraging her understanding of human potential, along with her skills in emotional intelligence and public speaking, Fur has delivered training and presentations for various organisations, including Telstra and Vision Australia, as well as in schools and local councils. As part of Fur's commitment to social issues, She Talks serves as an ambassador for Project Karma, organising quarterly fundraising events. In her personal life, Fur enjoys practising Aikido and Yin Yoga, dancing, moments with friends, and chats with her cat, Mr. Bo. Fur, welcome to the summit, and thank you so much for giving up your time today.
It's an absolute honour to be here, and I cannot wait to get into this topic today.
Wonderful. How can we have a game-changing approach to public speaking? Because I get in front of a camera with another person, I'm fine. Get me on a stage and I'm hopeless. Absolutely. I know it has a lot to do with mindset. I know it has a lot to do with confidence, but how can we have that approach that we all need and some of us thrive to be?
Absolutely. And I understand that, because I was just having a conversation just prior to this about being on stage feels really different to being online. And I think what can really help us, no matter whether you're going online or whether you're getting up on stage or even just having that one-to-one conversation, you want to get connected to the real goal of public speaking. And I feel like it's been lost. Rose, did you know that there are over 15 ways that a speaker can engage an audience?
No, I didn't know that.
In fact, someone tried to tell me the other day there's 56, but I think they were just breaking everything down into minute bits. But there's over 15, and there is one that is absolutely the one that stands above the rest. It is the real goal of public speaking. However, I see a lot of speakers and a lot of them are missing this. And that's exactly what I want to share with you. And I'm just going to tell you, it's commonly mistaken, and it makes sense, that the most effective way to deliver a talk is through delivering it well. And some say it's humour, of course, only, to be honest, these are not the most effective ways of engagement. And they're definitely not the real goal of public speaking. And I know that sounds surprising considering everything that we're taught and how much emphasis placed on our content and preparation. And I know that you need to do that. That's your talk, your message, the structure, whether you're going to use stories, analogies, statistics, ensuring your content's informative, it's engaging, it meets the brief of either the organizers or yours. And then for many of us as public speakers who take the stage, we need to rehearse our talk. And then there's focus on presentation of maybe you're doing slides or just how you present, how you show up, how you look, and then your performance, delivering it, your gestures, your stagecraft. And as much as all of these are relevant, and in fact, I coach speakers in all of those, they're just a means to an end. They are simply about helping you deliver the talk, but they're not what has your message land in the hearts of the audience or stay on their mind and then have that ripple on conversation when they leave after they see you speak. You want them to take that information. We want them to put it into action. We want them to have that conversation with a friend, a neighbor, or their family. And this is what's missing.
Yeah, I think you've got a point there too, that speaking is not about us, the speaker. It's about the audience.
Correct. And you're spot on. And I'm going to talk about this. It isn't about talking to or at an audience. It isn't about us getting accolades. John Yo from TEDx talks about this all the time. He said one of his greatest challenges is having speakers turn up and expecting they want to be accoladed for their talk. And so he doesn't choose those speakers because they're there trying to get recognition and trying to deliver a talk perfectly. And unfortunately, this is actually how speakers are trained. They're trained to over-focus on scripting. They're over-focus on delivery, nailing their stagecraft. And we don't even have to learn stagecraft because, to be honest, when you're authentic, it comes naturally. And I'm going to tell you the core objective of public speaking gets diluted or it gets lost entirely. And Rose, I actually wonder if anyone knows what it is anymore because it's either no longer the priority, and I've seen lots of speakers, or it never was.
Yeah, I think I often think about, the stagecraft. You're supposed to hold your hands a certain way and you're supposed to, go right for the future or the past and left for the future. And, when you're on the stage, is it my left or their left? And you get confused while you're trying to think about what you're talking and having to memorize a speech when, quite honestly, you could say things in the same amount of time coming from the heart. I mean, obviously you have a script, but following it verbatim can be really challenging, especially if you've got a terrible memory like mine. And I'd get halfway and I've got to go back, and a lot of places don't let you take cards with you to give you a talk because they think that it's cheating. But in my mind, they're just memory joggers, and I think people should be allowed to have those cards with you, palm cards with you, so that you can, and I'm not saying read from them. I'm just saying to be reminded about where you are in your particular talk.
You know what? There is a way to use a palm card and generate from that rather than, I understand where they're coming from. It's like you wouldn't want someone just sitting there reading off it and kind of maybe glancing up. You want to be able to just use it as a prompt and generate, really be in with the audience. So let me just say, if you're memorizing your talk and every full stop, it's still missing. It's still missing the whole purpose of public speaking. And the whole thing is polishing our performance isn't what makes us engaging. So what is it that makes us engaging if it isn't delivering a talk well or delivering a polished, perfect talk perfectly? Especially in a world that's flooded with content, I'm telling you what truly sticks isn't something that's polished. It isn't the most polished performance. It isn't the rehearsed script that's delivered with every full stop, I like to say, because that's how people start to get now. They want to put it exactly in the order of every word because when they wrote it, those words had meaning then. However, when you get in front of an audience, those words that had meaning then may not have the same meaning now because now you're in front of the audience. And what's felt from an audience isn't you getting up there and getting it all right and feeling good about yourself. It's what's felt from authentic voices who dare to be present. So the most power in engagement doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence. Because the real goal of public speaking isn't just to inform. And as I said, we're in a world that's full of information. We need to engage. And engagement is a two-way current. Even right now with you and I, it's a two-way current. In fact, we've got a whole audience in front of us, so it's more than a two-way current. One person may be speaking, however, two or more energies are always at play. And this is something that's forgotten. So our energy affects the audience and their energy informs us, even when we're online and we can't see them. When I'm with you, your energy informs me. So presence is how we navigate that exchange. And Rose, aren't audiences today more discerning? I mean, they're not listening for information. And don't we have information fatigue?
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Yeah.
We were in lockdown before, and we had no choice but to be online, and there was just so much information overload happening. Honestly, it was just so much, and I think we're a bit tired of it now.
We are. And especially we're in a time of AI generated content when almost anything can be automated, and content is just being spat out in a generic manner with AI. So presence remains the most important element for engaging. In fact, presence is deeply human. And that's what our audiences want. They want to feel us. The old cookie cutter approach of a polished script or perfect delivery, over rehearsed stagecraft, that's literally outdated. And it doesn't move people the way it used to. And it can't. It just can't, because of the way that society is now with all the information. People, the only way to cut through is to connect with people. That's today's currency. Presence is today's currency. So if we want our words to land, to stay with someone, we need to offer more than performance. And I have, even not that long ago, gone to some of the public speaking schools just to see, have they moved with the times? And unfortunately, they're still getting taught performance. So what we need instead is connection, grounded, attuned, and in the moment, real connection. People who dare to be authentic, people who dare to be present and out of their head.
Yeah.
And pushing and delivering. And that's the shift. That's quite literally the game changer. And I understand that there will be some people who sort of go, well, that sounds too simple, or that can't be right. And that's not enough to be a game changer. However, our role in public speaking really isn't to feel good about ourselves, and it can't be. It's for us to get good at feeling our audience.
Yep, I think that's really a great point, Fur. I think feeling the audience and delivering to where they are.
To where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And
exactly.
so I guess, what are some of the techniques that we can use to connect with any audience? It doesn't matter.
And I am going to give you three. However, I think it's important, Rose, to understand or to explain to the audience what is presence, because I know some people are going to think, I know what that is, but not exactly. So I want you to think of presence like a Wi-Fi signal. You might have the best device, which is your script, your story, your stagecraft, but without a strong signal with the audience, your connection drops. And if you're not tuned into that signal, you miss the opportunity to truly connect. And I want you to think back to a time when you felt deeply connected to a speaker. You would have felt like you're in a bubble with them, like nothing else existed outside of that. And it wouldn't have been their polish that moved you. It wouldn't have been how great their talk was and how well they delivered it. It absolutely would have been how they made you feel. They wouldn't have been performing at you. They would have been there right with you. That feeling would have been the result of presence, an energetic exchange that starts to happen, and it creates resonance in the room between the speaker and the audience, because presence anchors you, the speaker, It gets us out of our head, where our script is, where our the inner critic lives, and also gets us back into our inbuilt confidence. And it's how we enter flow. And I think this is the best way to explain presence, is that presence gets you to enter flow. Then you can read the room and start to build trust. A lot of audiences, a lot of speakers call the audience their audience. And until we do this, we can't call them our audience, because we haven't even begun to build trust. Our first words, as mesmerizing or captivating or as much of a hook they are, or interesting or even engaging, they don't build trust. We build the trust. And the audience will take a moment to do that. So when we're present, they start to resonate with us and feel a level of trust. And then when that trust is created, your audience becomes open to ideas, your ideas, to the emotion that they're feeling, so they can go on that inner journey. And that is where transformation lives, not in words, not in script, not at all.
Mm.
Yeah. And you feel that, right, Rose? I mean, we get that when we're listening to how we can be present, what presence is, it starts to make sense. And I'm hoping that the listeners are starting to think, here's where I have it, and here's where I don't. Presence has a frequency. It's the shared energetic space, and I've been saying resonance. It happens when brain waves sync. So our brain waves, and we've heard this, sync with the audience's brain waves. So it's when our neurons fire in harmony with theirs. When our biology and their biology start resonating like tuning forks. It's invisible, but you have to admit it's unmistakably felt. Right? We feel it. We feel it when we're in sync with the audience. We feel like we're in flow with them, like they're really present with me, because you're present with them. And that's the real power. It's in your state of being. It's in our state of being when we're in the room.
Makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So how do we tap into that inbuilt confidence that we all have, but we don't display?
Correct. Well, it happens before you even speak a single word. And just, you've got to remember that your presence is already being felt before you enter the room. And I'm going to give you some science for this. Your energy is the barometer by which they read you and you read them. Presence is the difference between delivering information and the ripple-on effect. So, and I'm just going to state good old Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And the truth is, presence isn't something that you have to then go to learn. It's something primal within us to remember. It's not a skill. We don't perform it. It's a state. It's a way of being that we return to. And I'll give you some proof. Your voice is not the only part of you that we speak with. Our body speaks. Our entire body is a living, vibrating instrument. And psychoanalyst William Wright said, the language of the body doesn't lie, but it speaks in a tongue that can be understood only by another body. We are, in fact, energetic beings. What we are now calling, and I love this, we're called soft technology. We're a technology. We're even greater than AI. We just haven't realized it yet. We are constantly absorbing and emitting energy. Our biology emits measurable voltage. We have, 50 trillion cells. If each of those cells, which it is, generating 0.7 volts, that is 3.5 trillion volts of energy. And we're transmitting those and receiving everyone else's. So it's through our neurons, through our nervous system, that we communicate with the outside world, with our entire physiology, our soft technology. It's through our nervous system. People understand that. And through our brainwaves and our neurons, people understand that. But what they don't know is that all of our organs, our muscles, every part of us produces its own electronic field, electromagnetic field that influences the audience, and they feel it. And we can create it through our attention. So we have a saying which is drop into your heart, get out of your brain, drop into your heart. And a lot of people will relate to that. However, it's more of an embodiment, our entire body. And this is why people talk about grounding. Just get out of your head where your critical mind is and get in your body and get over there with the audience, because then you're going to emit specific frequencies and that's going to create presence. So that's why we read an audience energetically and not through cues like nods and smiles.
And this is where our confidence would come into play, because the more that we can get feedback from the audience with those silent cues, that we become more confident when we're up there on the stage.
Yeah, and we're present. We're not performing. We're not worried in our head. And if we're in our critical mind, Rose, and you've heard me say this so many times when I've been on your podcast and what have you, is that when we're in our head, our critical mind comes in, our survival mechanism, and it's all of that, what we can and can't do, should and shouldn't do, where we've made a mistake, why we're not as good as we think we are, all of that rubbish, all of that distortion of who we are starts getting triggered. But if we're with our audience, we literally bypass that. But I want to tell you some research that's really profound, and it's been done over the last 50 years, so it's solid research. It's shown that humans and animals, all creatures, we physically respond to energy before our conscious mind catches up. So in one study, just one alone out of thousands, participants, their body reacted to an image that was shown on a screen. They reacted before the image was shown. So if they showed a disturbing image, suddenly they were tense, their brain waves changed, their organ rate changed, and that happened before the image came up. And no one knew what the images were going to be. They were random. So we're reading the information without even realizing it. So that's proof that our nervous system and our brain waves, let alone our entire physiology, responds before our mind registers what's happening. So can you imagine, right? You're in your head, like this is what happens to most speakers. And especially when we're starting out, where we're concentrating on our talk, on delivering it. We want to get that sort of accolade or that standing ovation, or at least want people to come up and say, hey, what a great talk afterwards, or we're nervous, or both. And so we're not present. What is our physiology communicating to the audience? Not to trust us. They're going, hey, something's off, something's incongruent. And then we get speakers who are taught to act confident. And here's another thing that I'm really shocked that this is still being taught. If you want to sound confident, just turn up your volume and you will sound confident. And then we get this even more separation because people are so removed from their authenticity, from who they are. We don't need to learn stagecraft. Yes, you can learn performance later as a way of story showing, and that's fun when you're authentic, when you're already mastered authenticity. However, if you're getting up and acting confident and you're turning your volume up here and going soft there because you want to influence the audience, and you know you've got to move left when you say you're moving to Sydney, and right because you're moving to Melbourne, and all of that, where you go, where you point to the future and the past, all of that stuff, you're not present, you're in your head. And that's what the audience is reading. So presence has a frequency all of its own. To be truly present, you're coherent. And Joe Dispenza talks about this. I'm sure we've got some Joe Dispenza followers here. You're in coherence. And that means everything is in tune, vibrating together. You're in flow. And if you know what in flow feels like, that's what coherence is. It's your entire being, your mind, your body, your energy, everything. And that's why I say presence has a frequency. You must be in coherence. So we've all felt it. When someone enters a room and without saying a word, we sense their joy or their grief or their tension. We feel their presence or lack of it. And they feel it too. That's the energetic exchange at work. And quantum physics talks about this. This is the observer effect. And we've all heard of this, where our consciousness affects atoms. It can affect matter. It can make an atom behave differently. And when we're not observing it, it behaves differently again. So if we, little old us, can influence matter at the quantum level, which we do, imagine how we shape a room. That's our responsibility as a speaker. We are like a conductor, guiding and moving the orchestra. The energy we transmit, that's what invites them. That's what is engaging. I'm going to say it again, it's a state. It's not a speaking style. We don't learn it. We connect with it.
Yeah.
That's called authentic. Yep. Authentic presence. That's why I said authenticity, because that's where your presence is. So it's generated by us and it's readable by the audience. You are either consciously present as an intention or unconsciously going through the motion out of a desire to be well received. And it can't be about being well received. It can't be about delivering the perfect talk perfectly. It can't be about remembering stagecraft. It's got to be about resonance. Presence creates resonance. And this matters more than ever. In a world of AI and over information, we don't need content deliverers. We don't need more speakers just pushing through and delivering information. We need speakers and leaders who lead, not only with their voice, but with their entire body, with their presence, who can then, when you're there, and if you have done this, you understand. If you haven't, go ahead. You need to do this because you'll be able to read the room in a way that you've never been able to read a room before. And you'll be able to respond in real time, moment to moment, and hold the space and keep the audience in the bubble with you. This presence sends the message of, I see you. And I love this. It also sends the message of, we're all walking each other home.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliant presentation, Fur. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah,
if
you're
you
welcome.
want to find out more about Fur or connect with her in any way, you can find her on Facebook at Fur Wale. On LinkedIn at She Talks, and her website is shetalks.com.au. And what can people find on your website, Fur?
They can find everything I do, but more importantly, I want to leave people with this. If you really aren't sure how to be present, here's one tip. Hold a soft smile throughout your entire talk. Set the intention of being present, hold a soft smile, and just feel. And if you might not trust it at first, but just trust that you will eventually feel. You'll feel things like suddenly it feels quiet. That means the audience has settled in. Suddenly you might feel a shift over at one part of the room. You might specifically feel it with one person. Start feeling in. Hold that soft smile. It'll keep you out of your head and present, and just be over there with the audience. Go to my website. You'll find out everything that I'm doing, but even better still, Instagram and TikTok.
Wonderful. Loved it. I loved it. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, Fur. It's lovely to see you again, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. See you, Rose. It's been an honor. Love it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us at the Talking with the Experts Online Business Summit with your host, Rose Davidson. We hope you found the insights and strategies shared by our esteemed presenter valuable. Remember, your journey to success doesn't end here. Keep applying what you've learned, stay connected with our community, and continue to push the boundaries of your business. Until next time, keep thriving and striving for excellence. Goodbye, and see you at our next summit.